Today, several stories are unfolding across Africa that, on the surface, seem completely unrelated. Germany is meeting with East African community. The African Development Bank has approved $265 million connected to Zambia and the Lobito Corridor. Liberia is expanding its presidential scholarship program to technical and vocational education. Nigeria is reaffirming its commitment to international climate action. IGA is highlighting research on maternal nutrition in Kenya. And CAF is preparing Africa's next FUSA African Cup of Nations. So what does scholarship in Liberia, a railroad corridor in Southern Africa, maternal health in Kenya, climate policy in Nigeria, and FUSA in Morocco have to do with each other? More than you might think, because when we look at these stories through the lens of African Union's integration agenda, right, we begin to see something much larger than larger taking shape. Welcome to When the Dust Settles. Today, we are asking a simple question. What does African integration actually look like in real life? What does African integration look like in real life? Integration is more than politics. When people hear the words African integration, they often think about presidents meeting at the African Union summits. But integration is supposed to go much deeper than that. The African Union's long-term vision, particularly through Agenda 2063, is about building an Africa where countries are increasingly connected economically, politically, socially, and physically. That means roads, railways, trade, education, healthcare, energy, skills, sports, and eventually greater movement of people, goods, services, and investment across the continent. And several developments we are watching right now show how different pieces of that vision can fit together. Let's start in Southern Africa. The Lobito Corridor. The African Development Bank, right, has approved, as I already said, $255 million loan and a $10 million grant to Zambia, connected to development of the Lobito Economic Corridor. That's $265 million. Why is this important to Africa integration? Look at the map. Zambia is landlocked. The Democratic Republic of the Congo is the home of enormous mineral resources. And Angola provides access to the Atlantic Ocean through the port of Lobito. Connecting these countries efficiently and suddenly, you are not simply talking about a railway or transportation project. You are talking about creating an economic corridor. Copper from Zambia can move. Cobalt and other products from the Democratic Republic of the Congo can move. Agricultural products can move. Manufactured goods can move. Businesses can move or can develop around transportation hubs. But there is an even bigger question. What eventually will Africa be transporting? If the Lobito Corridor simply makes it faster to move raw materials from Africa to ports than overseas, then Africa has improved transportation without necessarily transforming its economy. But if infrastructure is accompanied by processing, manufacturing, agriculture, and regional supply chains, then the corridor can become part of something much bigger. That connects directly with AU's broader economic integration ambitions in the African continental free trade area. Because free trade agreements cannot accomplish that's very much if countries cannot efficiently move products between each other. Now let's look at the other story: East Africa and Germany. Now I travel to Arusha, Tanzania. The East African community and Germany are beginning bilateral negotiations at East African headquarters. Go on our website and read these stories. We don't follow the headlines. We dig deep down into the story. Germany has an important development partner for regional programs in East Africa. These negotiations could improve areas such as trade integration, infrastructure, institutional development, health, and climate resilience. But notice something important, right? Germany is negotiating with East African community. Not simply Tanzania, not simply Kenya, not simply Uganda. The East African community represents a regional approach. And this is one of the ideas behind Africa's regional economic communities. The AU cannot manage every regional project directly from Addis Ababa. Organizations such as EAC, ECOWAS, SADC, COMESA, and IGA provide another layer through which countries can cooperate. That means African integration is not supposed to happen through one institution. It happens at several levels. Countries work together regionally. Regional organizations work with the African Union. And eventually, those regional systems are supposed to contribute toward wider continental integration. Now, let's go to West Africa. President Joseph Yuma Boakan's government has announced an expansion of Liberia's presidential scholarship program. And one part of this announcement deserves attention. The program is being expanded to include technical and vocational education and training. called TVET. You may ask, right? What does a scholarship program in Liberia have to do with African integration? Everything about African integration starts with people. Africa cannot build railways, ports, and highways. Africa can build railway, ports, and highways, but somebody has to build them. Somebody has to maintain the electrical systems. Somebody has to repair the trains. Somebody has to install solar systems. Somebody has to operate machinery. Somebody has to build houses, factories, and processing facilities. Continental integration, therefore, requires a skilled African workforce. Universities are important, but Africa also needs electricians, mechanics, technicians, welders, plumbers, construction workers, agricultural specialists, and technical professionals. Infrastructure without skilled workers create another dependency. So when countries invest in technical and vocational institutions or education, they are also strengthening the human infrastructure needed for economic integration. Nigeria and climate policy. Then we have Nigeria. Nigeria's government has reaffirmed its commitment to international climate action. Nigeria is one of Africa's largest economies and a major oil and gas producer. That makes its decision particularly significant. Africa wants industrialization. Africa needs electricity. Africa wants manufacturing. But Africa is also dealing with flooding, drought, desertification, and other climate-related pressures. So, African integration will increasingly have to include a shared conversation about energy. How does Africa industrialize? How does Africa expand electricity access? How does Africa use its existing resources? How quickly can renewable energy expand? And who finances the transformation or transition? This cannot always be answered. This cannot always be answered by individual countries acting alone. Regional power pools, cross-border electricity, infrastructure, and coordinated climate position can all become part of the integration process. Then we'll go to EGI and maternal health. Then there is a story that might appear even further removed from Africa or continental integration. EGI, the Intergovernmental Agency on Development, has highlighted research from rural Kenya showing that women who receive counseling about side effects on iron and folic acid supplements were much more likely to continue taking them. EGI says maternal health programs should consider better side effect counseling and monitoring. Why should a regional organization care about research conducted in one country? Because knowledge can cross borders too. If Kenya learns something that improves maternal health care, that information can potentially inform programs elsewhere. Regional organizations can help countries share successful policies, research and technology or technical expertise. Integration isn't only about moving containers across borders. It can also mean moving knowledge and solutions across borders. That's why countries are like laboratories to regional organizations. Something that succeeded in Nigeria can be used in Liberia. Something that succeeded in Kenya can be used in North America, and that's in North Africa. So these are all laboratories that can inform decisions in other countries. Finally, CAF is holding a draw for 2026 Futsal African World Cup, African Cup of Nations in Morocco. That thing that happened yesterday. 8 countries are participating: Algeria, Angola, Egypt, Libya, Morocco, Mozambique, Tanzania, and Zambia. Sports may seem separate from politics and economic integration. But think about what continental competition actually do. Different nationalities travel, supporters interact. African broadcasters cover African teams. Players compete against opponents from different regions. And millions of Africans participate in the same continental conversation. CAF may not be an African Union institution, but continental sports can contribute to something governments cannot create through treaties alone: a sense of African connection. Think about it that way. A sense of African connection. When African teams were playing at the World Cup, every African were united behind every African team. So step back and look at all these stories again. The African Development Bank is financing infrastructure connected to Zambia and the Lobito Corridor. The East African Community is negotiating. We say the East African Community is negotiating with Germany over development cooperation. Liberia is expanding educational opportunities, including technical and vocational training. Nigeria is engaging in international climate action. IGA is spreading knowledge that could improve maternal health programs. And CAF is bringing African countries together through sport. Different institutions, different countries, different sectors. But together, they show us something important. African integration is not one project. It will not happen at one summit. It is a process. Joel B, when he came to our sisters, he said, trust the process. African integration is not one summit. It is a process. It happens when infrastructure connects countries. It happens when Africans trade with each other. It happens when skills developed in one country can contribute to opportunities across the continent. It happens when research and knowledge move across borders. It happens when Africans increasingly begin seeing neighboring countries not simply as foreign countries, but as economic partners and part of a larger continental community. The real test, however, will always be implementation, because agreements signed at conference rooms eventually have to become roles, jobs, businesses, electricity, education, healthcare, and opportunities. That is where African integration becomes real. And that is what we will continue watching on this channel. Because when all the meetings are over, the agreements are signed, and announcements have been made, when the dust settles, the question is simple. Are we actually building one Africa? Or are we still building 55 separate economies that occasionally cooperate? I'm Karyokie Peeco Conway, and this is When the Dust Settles. If you enjoy this conversation, if you enjoy conversations that connect African institutions, regional organizations, and everyday developments to the bigger picture, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with someone interested in Africa's future. Until next time, keep watching the institutions, keep asking the questions, and we will see what remains when the dust settles. Once more, have a great day. Bye for now.